Hi guys, Shishir here. Welcome to this new module about email clients. So far we have understood about messaging as a concept. We install our first email server, Microsoft Exchange. We even created our mailboxes and exchange emails with other users in our organization using the Outlook Web Access. Now in this module, we are going to look into email clients because that's what the user actually uses. We will talk about the protocol client uses to fetch email from mailbox on the server and also some popular email clients troubleshooting like Microsoft Outlook. This module is very important for the entry level jobs because this is what you might actually do initially if you start with a desktop support kind of a situation. So here is what we are going to cover in this module. What are email clients? The client access protocols. These are the protocols which the client uses to download the email from the mailbox on the Exchange server, or for that matter any mail server. We are going to talk about how to set up email clients. Then we are going to look into some additional features of mailbox and email clients. And then we are going to give you a brief information about how to troubleshoot problems with the email client. Alright, so let's get started with the first section, which is what are email clients. An email client, email reader, or more formally mail user agent is a computer program that is used to access and manage user email. So that's a very simple definition. All of you must be familiar with some of these email clients, like you have got Microsoft Outlook, which get installed along with Microsoft Office. Outlook Express used to be a freeware included with Windows. I honestly don't know if Outlook Express is still part of Windows 10 family, but up till Windows XP and even I reckon Windows 7 etc. Outlook Express was there, and if you wanted to use an email client and you did not want to buy a software like Outlook, then you could have used Outlook Express. Then in our phones we have got a native email client, the email icon in which you go and configure your multiple email accounts, your Gmails and Yahoos and your Office email accounts, and you access the email there. So that is also a kind of a email client. Then we have got Gmail web access URL. So in a way, web access URL is also an email client, but here we are actually talking about the real softwares. When we say email client, we are actually talking about the softwares like Outlook or Apple Mail. Apple also has an email client which is included in the Macintosh operating system. So I'll just show that to you. So this is the email client by Apple, so it is also included with the operating system. So all client operating system usually come along with some kind of a email client, and but most of the people, or rather I should say most of the corporate organization or business organization, they would be using Microsoft Office Suite, and along with that comes Microsoft Outlook. So Microsoft Outlook is the most used email client across the corporate networks. So that is the one which you are going to see a lot. EM client is also an email client, and I'm just mentioning it specifically because if you remember when we were looking at SMTP servers, I told you that we are associated with iSwap. So iSwap used to provide EM client as the mail client for their email solution. So yeah. Anyways, so these are the various email clients. Let's move on to the next topic, the client access protocol. We discussed before that email get delivered between SMTP servers on port TCP25. So SMTP server can send email to each other on port TCP25. But once they are delivered to the SMTP server, and then SMTP server actually places the email in the respective users' mailboxes, then they need to be downloaded into users' email client. So the email got delivered, and your Exchange server put everybody's email in their email mailboxes, which is in the mailbox database. But for the user to be able to read it, either they can go to a Outlook web access and open it there, or they need to download it into their email client so that they can read it. Now in this section, we are talking about the protocols which are used by the email clients to fetch the email from the mailbox. Once again, if we just have a look at this photo, and if this is the mailbox server, or if this is the server which has all the mailbox databases and individual mailboxes, then this Outlook client, or rather this computer, whatever client it has installed in it, or this phone which has to get the email downloaded in phone, or maybe there is another desktop computer which has some kind of an email client in it, they need to download the emails, correct? So all of them download the email, and I would say this arrow is in the reverse direction. Rather, it should be that emails are getting downloaded from here to here, from here to here. So in this module, we are going to talk about the protocols which are used by the clients to download the email. Okay, so the protocols are POP. It's a very old protocol, post office protocol. Then we have got IMAP. It's a protocol which a lot of email organizations still uses, and in fact, all non-Microsoft email organization uses IMAP, and IMAP is an excellent protocol. Then we have got MAPI. MAPI is Microsoft Exchange Protocol. ActiveSync is again a Microsoft protocol which they use to send and control emails on phone or mobile devices. And then RPC over HTTP is again a Microsoft protocol which they use to deliver the emails when the Outlook client is not in the local network. So what I mean by that is that, so when you're in office, your PC is in a local network and your Exchange server is also in that network. What the PC can do is, the PC can directly reach the mailbox server over MAPI protocol over RPC. RPC is Remote Access Protocol. This is a protocol which is used a lot for communication between the computers over a network. Most of the things happens on RPC. So Remote Access Protocol or RPC, you should probably go ahead and read about RPC because it's a very cool thing, and in a lot of troubleshooting you will be seeing that RPC is involved. Not that it breaks a lot, but it is a concept which you need to get familiar with, because in a lot of articles which you are going to read and a lot of information or troubleshooting which you are going to do, there will be a reference of RPC. And that is actually the protocol on which all the communication between the computers on network happen. And then protocols like MAPI or HTTP, these get tagged along over the RPC protocol to transfer the data. We are going to just read more about them. So let's begin with post office protocol. The post office protocol in computing, the post office protocol is an application layer internet standard protocol used by email clients to retrieve email from mail server. POP version 3 is the version in common use. Okay, so post office protocol or POP protocol is, I believe, the oldest protocol which the clients, email clients use to download the email. And the biggest problem with the POP protocol is that the client just download the email, and then there is no relationship between the client and the server mailbox. So if you download the email from the server, earlier what used to happen when hard drive was an expensive commodity and mailboxes could not afford to be gigabits in size like they are nowadays, POP protocol was highly in use because POP has an option where, or the default option in POP is that the email when they are downloaded on the Outlook client, after that they get deleted from the mailbox server. So this way the size of the mailbox on the server remains in control, whereas the emails are downloaded on user's PC. The biggest problem with that approach is that users are inherently careless. So users are not going to maintain their PC, they will not be backing up their computers very regularly. and either an IT administrator run after all the users and make sure that they back up their emails, etc., on their PC, or they do something like whatever you do, the users will mess up one day and they will lose the email. The problem with POP was that the default way in which POP works it, that it downloads the email on the user's computer and delete the copy from the mailbox server. Now this way there is only one copy which exists on user's PC, and if the user's PC crashes or for some reason there was no backup available for those emails, then those emails are lost. So this was problem number one with POP. Problem number two with POP is that if you configure POP, and you can still configure POP, on an Exchange server, you can configure your Outlook client to download email with POP, or if you have a Gmail or a Yahoo Mail or a Outlook.com email address, you can also configure them using the POP protocol on your Outlook client. And you can also configure a delete upon download setting in POP. The next problem which we have is, because delete upon download is a configurable setting, in most of the cases what you can do is that you can uncheck don't delete upon download. This way the email will remain available on the mailbox server as well. The second problem with the POP is that in today's age, every user has multiple devices. So you look at your email in your computer, you look at your email from a web URL, the one which is available to you by your email service provider or Exchange, or you also look at your email on your phone. One convenience which you get today and which you wouldn't have realized is that if you read an email on your phone, then it is marked read on your computer. Basically, it gets marked read on the mailbox level, and then whatever clients are configured, on all of them it will be marked read. If you reply back to an email, there will be a small icon on it which says it has been replied. The third thing is that if you have created multiple folders, let's say that on your client application, under your inbox, you create multiple folders to put your data correctly. That's a practice which a lot of people do. I also do. Whatever mailbox I have, I create multiple folders under them so that I can categorize the email, different emails into different folder. So if you have created those multiple folders, once again, you expect these folders to be available on your PC. And if you are accessing a web client, you would also want them to be available there. And if you are accessing your phone, like if you are accessing email from your phone, then also you want those folders to be available. You want a consistent look. This is the biggest problem with POP. POP is not capable to do that. POP just downloads the email and then keeps the email on the local client. You can read the email, it will read it on your local client or Outlook client, it will be marked as read, but if you go to web access, it will be left as unread. Or if you go to your phone, they will still be unread there. Or from your phone, if you go ahead and reply 5 emails while you were on way back from your office, and next day if you go to your office and you open your Outlook, those 5 emails will be showing unread in your Outlook. So that's not a very consistent experience, and that's a huge problem for the people who are getting thousands of email in a day, or maybe even hundreds of email in a day. They don't know if they have replied. Like if they have 5 clients and they reply an email from one client and rest 4 don't even know that something like that has happened, that's a big problem. So that is why POP is a problematic solution. But anyways, POP works on port TCP 110. I told you that every service needs a port to run on. So POP works on TCP 110. Now IMAP, Internet Message Access Protocol. In computing, Internet Message Access Protocol is an internet standard protocol used by email clients to retrieve email messages from mail server over a TCP IP connection. IMAP is defined by RFC 3501. Once again, I told you that this is this common agency which defines all the port number and everything, and they also give this RFC number for all the definitions which they have recorded, the centralized authority, so it is talking about that. Now, IMAP is a good protocol, and why I say it's a good protocol, because the inherent problem with POP, which is the non-syncing of data between the email client and the mailbox server, and then eventually the same synchronization also happen to other clients which are configured for the same mailbox server. The problem which POP has, that problem is not with IMAP. So IMAP can synchronize if you have created subfolders in your Outlook, or even if you created a subfolder in your inbox using your phone, IMAP will synchronize that to the mailbox. So you get everything synchronized in the centralized location, and then whatever changes you made from your PC will be visible on your phone. Whatever changes you made from your phone, if you have replied an email or if you have moved an email to a subfolder, everything will get synchronized to the Outlook client, or everything will get synchronized to the mailbox, and then from there to all the clients. Now that is the reason that IMAP is a good protocol. At least it's a very good protocol as compared to POP. But it is not excellent protocol like MAPI. MAPI and ActiveSync are Microsoft protocol, and the benefit of both of these protocols is that, like I told you, that POP and IMAP, what they do is they download the email from mail server. So what you have to do is that you have to either configure in your Outlook client a time interval, like every 5 minutes or every 10 minutes, when the Outlook will go ahead and send a request to the mailbox server to download the email from there, and then the email will appear in your mailbox. Now that's a okay solution. There are two problems with that solution. Let's say that you set up that synchronization interval to 15 minutes. So if an email comes at 16th minute in your mailbox, then for the next 15 minutes, that is up till minute 30 or 31, when the next synchronization is going to happen, you will not see the email. So there is a situation, or there is a possibility where an email can take as much as 15 minutes or 16 minutes to appear in your mailbox. Now, for general people, that's not a huge problem. But in a lot of situations, that's not a desirable outcome, because people need their email, or if there is a security mailbox, or if there is some other kind of a mailbox, they cannot afford a delay of 15 minutes. The easier solution to that is that you reduce your download interval to say 5 minutes or 1 minute, so that the Outlook or the whatever email client which you have, that can constantly keep trying to download the email. The problem with that is that Outlook takes a lot of resources on your computer, and it makes it unnecessarily slow. So this is the limitation of IMAP. It can synchronize all the data, it can synchronize all the folder, you can see all the changes which you make to mailbox across all the email clients which are configured for that mailbox. But the problem is that IMAP and POP both are download protocol. They wait to download the email. You also have a button to do send and receive, so that basically instantaneously requests the mailbox to download the email. And I have seen people get in a habit of clicking on that send and receive, like very periodically. Nothing bad with it. It's just that because with IMAP that problem used to be there, so people used to download the emails again and again. Once again, the port number for IMAP is 143 if it is running unsecured or without an encryption. But if you are running IMAP traffic over a secure channel or over a encrypted channel with a certificate, then the port number which it uses is 993. So these are client access protocol for IMAP. Now the third protocol which we use is MAPI. Messaging Application Programming Interface is an API for Microsoft Windows, which allows program to become email aware. While MAPI is designed to be an independent protocol, it is usually used to communicate with Microsoft Exchange Server. So Outlook is a MAPI client. What that means is Outlook is a MAPI aware client, and it can use MAPI protocol to get the emails from Microsoft Exchange. The benefit, the two problems which I have given you so far: one, the synchronization of data, like the subfolders which you create, or if you read an email from another device, that will sync up to this. Yes, MAPI does that perfectly fine. MAPI does synchronization and a lot more, so it's awesome. The second benefit of MAPI is that with MAPI, the Outlook client don't have to download the emails anymore. Rather, MAPI is a push protocol. So basically, whenever an email appears in your mailbox, Exchange can automatically push the email to the Outlook client. That means no synchronization, no scheduling interval, and if there is no email appearing on your mailbox or reaching your mailbox, say for 30 minutes, then an Outlook would not be doing anything. And if an email reaches there at 31st minute, it will get immediately pushed to your Outlook. So MAPI is a push protocol. So that's a benefit. Now MAPI uses RPC, dynamically assigned port. So RPC, once again, the remote access protocol, is one of the most important protocol which is used between computers over a network to communicate the data. And RPC has something which is called as an endpoint mapper database. And what happens is that MAPI basically dynamically decides what port it is going to use, and over the RPC, the port number for RPC is 135, TCP 135. So over the RPC TCP 135, the communication is sent on the other end, and the other end also immediately decides what port it wants to use for the MAPI communication. And then over RPC 135, both the client and the server get to know that we are going to use, the client will say I will use port 3948, and the server will say I will use the port 4232. Like, I'm just giving you a random number at both ends. But they started on RPC, and then during the conversation they decided what port they are going to use, and then they will leave RPC alone and start communicating on that port. Okay, so that's what is MAPI protocol. ActiveSync. ActiveSync is a mobile data synchronization app developed by Microsoft, originally released in 1996. It synchronizes data with handheld devices and desktop computers. In Windows Task Manager, the associate process is called as wcescom.exe. So I never knew this, that the associate process is wcescom.exe, and never had to care about it. So once again, ActiveSync is a Microsoft protocol, and the benefit of this protocol, or the use of this protocol, first of all, is that it is used to configure the email on the phones or the mobile devices. So when you configure your email account with Outlook.com, which is a Microsoft product, or Hotmail.com, which is a Microsoft product, technically there are Exchange server which are running behind them, then ActiveSync is used. The other benefit of ActiveSync is that it is also the push protocols. So as soon as the email appears in your mailbox, it will get pushed to your phone or your mobile device. So ActiveSync is once again a push protocol. ActiveSync uses unsecured TCP/IP. So because ActiveSync is over the internet, it is outside. Usually the mobile devices are not part of your local LAN. They are running on the data provided by the service provider, your telephone service provider. So technically all your mobile devices get a public IP. They are directly exposed to public IP, and they are coming to your Exchange server from an external channel. So through your public router, they will get inside. So to do that, the communication which they do is, if they have to do unsecure communication, which nobody does anymore, then it will be on TCP/80. ActiveSync uses HTTP port TCP/80, and otherwise for secured communication, ActiveSync uses HTTPS or the TCP port 443. All right, so that is ActiveSync. One more thing which I have to tell about MAPI and ActiveSync versus IMAP and POP is that IMAP and POP are only capable to synchronize email or the subfolders in case of IMAP, but not in POP, whereas MAPI and ActiveSync can also synchronize the contacts in your mailbox, the calendar item in your mailbox. So if you configure your Outlook client with IMAP protocol, your emails and your subfolders etc. are taken care of. But if you have created calendar information, remember the meetings which we created, or if you created contacts inside your mailbox, then those will not get synchronized to your Outlook client or to your phone. And then of course not to not between your Outlook client and phone, because ultimately everything needs to get synchronized to the centralized mailbox, and IMAP is not capable to do that, and POP can not even think about it. POP is like ancient, nobody uses it. Whereas MAPI and ActiveSync, they not only synchronize your email, they also synchronize your contacts and calendars and tasks and a few other things. I'll show it to you when we configure the Outlook client. So that is also a benefit of MAPI and ActiveSync. Now the last one is RPC over HTTP. Remote procedure call over HTTP is a protocol that allows a client on the internet to connect securely to Microsoft Exchange Server without having a need of a VPN. What's that? Like I told you that when you are in Office and you open your Outlook client, your Exchange server is available in a local network. You get connected to the Exchange server over the MAPI protocol. And the MAPI protocol which gets connected, it uses RPC channel TCP 135 to dynamically decide on the port number which it is going to use for the communication. Okay, but what about when you take the same laptop home? So when you were in Office, you opened your Outlook client, you were on a local network, you were able to reach to your mailbox server. Now, let me try to make a diagram and show you what I mean here. So I will go to MS Paint and let's say that this is our Office network, or this is our Office. This is our mailbox server, which is our AD server as well. And when I'm in Office, this is my laptop. And let me create a router, public. This is my router. And this is a public IP or public IP which is connected. Okay, and inside my PC is connected with one cable, the mailbox server or the Active Directory server, which is both the same server, are also connected with the cable. So we are in a local network. So when I'm in Office, the Outlook client have to download the email over the MAPI protocol. It basically just goes to the local router and then it says, yeah, it's locally available, and it goes to the server and gets the data. But now imagine when I go back to home. This is my home. And now this is my laptop and I'm working from home. This is my router. And my router I connected to my router over Wi-Fi or over a LAN cable. And this is my public IP of my router, because my IT service provider or my internet service provider gave me this router. Okay. So when I am at home, how do I connect to my Outlook? Or how do my Outlook gets connected to the mailbox? It has to download the emails. So in this case, we use something which is called as RPC over HTTP, or commonly it was called before Outlook Anywhere. So Outlook Anywhere, what it does is, we basically connect over the internet to this public IP from here to here, and then there is a port forwarding rule here for 443 port, and it goes to the mailbox server. So the communication happens like this. This is called as RPC over HTTP, because how does this communication happen? This communication happen over the port protocol RPC. Now over the internet, RPC alone can't work, so you basically establish a HTTP connection. HTTP is the website, the protocol on which you open all the website. So you create an HTTP connection and RPC piggyback on it. So that's why it is called as a RPC over HTTP connection. And this way the Outlook connects to the mailbox server. I wouldn't say it's a difficult thing to configure, but you need to do a few configuration, like enable RPC over HTTP here, and then create and configure the rules for port forwarding here. Then the client PC would be able to connect it via an auto discover DNS record, which we are going to discuss very shortly. So basically a lot of configurations are involved, but in a nutshell, that's how RPC over HTTP works. Okay, so RPC over HTTP works on HTTP port 80, because RPC 135 is piggybacking on HTTP port 80, but once again nobody uses that anymore. what you use is RPC over HTTPS because it is secured with a encryption with a certificate. And for that, we use TCP port 443. All right. So these are primarily the protocols which you will use to configure your email. POP, IMAP, MAPI, ActiveSync, and RPC over HTTP. Now, RPC over HTTP is like a configuration which needs to happen on the Exchange server. The Exchange server needs to have all the settings which I'm talking about here, enabled here, configured on the router, and then this connection and auto discover record, which I haven't discussed yet. So I'm going to discuss that shortly. So all these configurations needs to be in place for RPC over HTTP to work. All right. So that's it for this section. Let's go to the next section, which is setting up the email clients. So what we have done so far is that we understood our Exchange server. Then I just now told you the 5 protocols which we can use for our Outlook client or for our email client to connect to the mailbox server. Now, in this section, what we are going to do is we are going to demo how the email configuration happens. So how do you configure your email client and what are the components which are dependent on this. Alright, so let's go to our Windows 10 client which we have, and I am logged in as Sam on this Windows 10 client, and Sam has a mailbox in our Exchange server. Let's go ahead and try to create an Outlook profile for Sam. So Sam has logged in for the first time on this PC. Now I'm going to launch Outlook for Sam. Let's see what happens. Accept license agreement, accept privacy. It automatically picked up sam at rootdomain.com. I have an option to set the account manually up. I'll not do that. And I say connect. Okay, we got this option. So we have an Exchange 2013. Let's see. It's giving us an error message about our certificate on the Exchange server, which is fine because we have used a self-signed certificate. We will say yes. So account is added successfully, and it is asking me if I want to set up another account on this same Outlook. I would not like to do that for now. And then it's asking me to set up Outlook on my mobile too. So I don't know what that is supposed to do because how can it set it up my mobile from here? But let's go ahead and see what it does. So it's giving me an article how to do it, and it will ask me to download the Outlook. Basically, so that was a marketing thing, I can say. What they are asking me is that I can download the Outlook app on my phone and can have the similar experience. So yes, I can, but of course they cannot configure the Outlook from here until or up till now. Maybe in future they will be able to do the phone configuration from here as well. So here is what happened. Your Outlook get configured for Sam, and because we live in such an integrated environment, we have an Exchange server which is part of the same Active Directory. It uses the same user account. We have a client PC which uses the same user account, and Outlook which knows Exchange server so well. So we went ahead and launched Outlook, and immediately the Outlook profile got configured, and we didn't have to do anything. All right, so that's how amazing the whole experience between Outlook and Exchange is. And what it did here was an auto configuration of Outlook, and why it was able to do that was because there is something called as service connection points which exist in Active Directory, which has information about the Exchange server of our environment. And as soon as this client PC tried to configure the emails, the local Active Directory, which this user is part of, which this computer is part of, quickly told it the information about the Exchange server, and the PC was quickly able to contact the Exchange server, and the PC is logged in with the same password with which the mailbox is configured, because it is the same user account with the mailbox, and it is the same user account with which you have logged into this computer, and you didn't have to provide anything, and this account got configured. So that is what is amazing about Outlook configuration with Exchange. The other thing, let's say that you want to add another account here, and that account is not a, Exchange account, rather it's a Gmail account. I believe Gmail might have put a bit of automation as well in the setup, but earlier it did not used to be there. So let me see, gmail.com. Let's see what it does. Right, so we got a pop-up from Google. So I believe this email will also get configured automatically. So nowadays, once again, the technology has become very convenient. But earlier, it did not used to be so easy to configure a Gmail account. You had to provide all the information manually. Okay, so yep, that configuration looks like it's going to happen automatically as well, and yes, it did. And if you can see, it used the IMAP protocol. Now, let me take you to the control panel and hide run, uh, control panel. So if you remember, Hydran was a group policy which we put in our earlier module in Active Directory, and Sam has that policy on him, and that's why I was not able to run on this PC. So there's this icon which is called as mail, and you have to, in your control panel, and this is where your Outlook configuration or your Outlook profiles are saved. So if you can see that you have got one profile and the name of that profile is Outlook, that is the default one which got created. If you go to the properties of it, you have got two accounts in it, sam@rootdomain.com, that is the Exchange account, and then shishir.chandrawat@gmail.com, which we just added, and it got published with IMAP. These are the URLs for IMAP which are provided by Gmail. This whole process was very automated, good on Gmail. It did not used to be like that before. So if I go here and quickly Google Gmail IMAP URL, IMAP settings, you'll find various articles which will be giving you the port number and the settings. Port 993, that is IMAP over SSL, and Gmap also support POP, and for that POP over SSL is 995, otherwise usual POP is 110 TCP, which probably Gmail doesn't support. So these are the settings which you have to provide, and also you need to enable IMAP and POP on Gmail. So let me do that. So I will go ahead and log into my Gmail, and then I will show you how to enable IMAP and POP on Gmail if it is not enabled by default. Alright, so I'm logged in to my Gmail account, and I have gone to the settings from here, and under forwarding an IMAP, you can see the status of POP is enabled, so I can disable POP if I want to. There is this setting, keep email copy in the inbox, or otherwise the setting can be archive Gmail copy or delete Gmail copy. So again, these are good days when there are so many options. Earlier in POP days, when POP was used, storage was so expensive that email server did not used to store all the emails, and everything needs to be downloaded, and the server copy used to be deleted. So that's POP. And IMAP status is enabled. So if you are configuring IMAP and it's not working out, you need to make sure that this IMAP is enabled from the server. So these are the IMAP and POP settings of Gmail. One more thing which I can show you, that Gmail also has contacts. Now, these Gmail contacts, they need to be synchronized to my Outlook, but over IMAP, Gmail can't do that. So if I go to my Outlook here, and if I go to my contacts here, there's nothing here, okay? And there's nothing from Gmail, and there is nothing from Sam, the primary account which is configured here. If I go to pdc/OWA, which is actually, I should get you in a practice of using the full domain name. So what I'm doing is I'm trying to go to my Outlook web access, and pdc.rootdomain.com is my exchange server, /OVA is the URL. So I will go to sam at rootdomain.com, and I will go here. And then select a time zone, UTC +10, that's Sydney. Okay, so as you can see, just going to quickly compare. This is my Outlook. This is my Outlook web access. There is just one email here. Now what I'm going to do is that I'm going to go here and create a new contact, and let's name the contact Windows Vista. I could have thought of a better name, so Rush Mehdi, some name, and company name, or I'll say City Bank, and I'll say he's a CEO, and I will put an email address for him, rush.mehdi@citibank.com. Okay, and I'll put his number as +61985456789, some number, and I go ahead and save it. So this contact got created here. And where's the contacts? This contact got created here. I go ahead and edit it, contact here. I will change his number from 789 to 700, and I save it. And okay, see, it's 700. And if I configure my phone as well, I'm going to get the same contact there as well. So this is the benefit of MACD, the Outlook and calendar. Let's say calendar. So I go ahead and I go to calendar here, and I go ahead and create an appointment, new event. I'll just add it here, meeting created now. So I created on 26th of July, I created a meeting. This has got hung on me, and I go to mail once again, and then I go to back to calendar. This is very strange. This email should show up. And there is another mail on 29th. Why is it not even showing the 29th meeting? So Sam, yeah, this is Sam's calendar. Yeah, Sam calendar. And I go to calendar here. I'm going to create a new appointment here, new appointment, and I will say from 12:30 to 12:30 p.m. to 1 p.m. and I will close it. So I got an appointment here, new appointment. Let's go here. So there is some very strange reason why the calendar is not showing here. In fact, the meeting which was created for July 29th also didn't show up here. I'll have to troubleshoot it and I'll have to figure it out. But it could be just something new which has come up with OVA, maybe a setting or something which I'm missing here. But ideally, any client PC which you configure should have this calendared synchronized to the mailbox server, which is the Exchange server, and the OVA which we are opening, we are directly opening it from there. So similarly, if you create tasks here, the task should get synchronized as well. So let's say new task created by Shashar, and I just save it here. So we got a task here, and if we go here, so a new task created by Shashar got synchronized. So MAPI and ActiveSync can do a lot more than what a standard IMAP can do. Let's say if you go ahead, so there are a lot of contacts in my Gmail, at least I reckon. Canada contacts. So there are so many contacts in my Gmail, but none of the contacts are showing up here because Gmail is not capable, or the IMAP is not capable to synchronize the contacts. So that's what I'm talking about. That this is the configuration of the email which happened with IMAP or with MAPI, and the difference between the synchronization. Now, I showed you here how this profile got created. Now, if I go into this profile, there is hardly any settings here because this pretty much happened like a magic. All the information is stored within Exchange, and there is no URLs, and there is nothing complicated to which the Outlook has to go. The all information is there somewhere in Active Directory, and it all just gets set up automatically, right? So that's what the automatic configuration of emails is, and basically the manual configuration is that you go ahead and select manual setup, and you say whatever. Let's say that you have either an Exchange Active Sync supporting client, so like Exchange, so you can do that. Or if you have Office 365 which supports Active Sync and MAPI, you can put an email address here and that will get configured. Or if you have some old age client which use POP or IMAP, what you have to do, you just have to come here and put your name, Shashar, Yahoo account, and you have to put your email address, shashar.chandravat@yahoo.com, and then you say account type POP, and then you have to find out whatever the URL for POP Yahoo has published. That is something which you need to go and find out by Googling it, or by going into your Yahoo web email and going into settings if it tells you. Then the download is done on POP, and the outgoing email is sent on SMTP. Like you're downloading emails, that's getting downloaded on POP or IMAP, but when you send outbound email, like when you send an email from this Outlook client, that email needs to be delivered to the Exchange server or the mail server. That happens on a SMTP. Once again, you put the URL which is provided to you by your mail server here, and you put your password here, whatever the password is. and that's it. And then you click on test account settings. It can't do it because I just put all dummy information, and that's it. When it says that it's all right, you say all right, and the profile, the email account gets added. Let's say that you want to create another email account, or you have this Outlook configured as your office work, and you want to add another Outlook profile. So what you can do is that you can name it anything, personal Outlook profile, and then you go ahead and add an email address here. So you can once again follow the same process, and you can, for the sake of this, let me go ahead and use my Office 365 credentials, and let's see how the setup happens. So these are all advanced security setup, which is in my Office 365. So um, I have to approve these things from my phone. This is called as multi-factor authentication. Um, and yeah, that's pretty much it. It configured my email account here, and I said finish. And so this is my one profile, this is my other profile. What I can do is that I can select this option, prompt for the profile to be used, and I say okay, and then I close the Outlook, and then I will go ahead and launch my Outlook. And then it asks me which profile do I want to log in with, and I can say my personal profile. Now what's going to happen, I'm going to get a all brand new Outlook with my company email address. It's quite contradictory that I use the personal and then I put my company email address, but I hope you get the idea. So that's just a name. You can name it anything. Maybe I could have named it as Pledge, so that I know that I'm logging into the Pledge profile. And yeah, it is downloading my emails and getting my stuff. And when I log into this account, I will not see Sam at root domain, and I can just have a look at my email. So Sam, maybe he has his Office Exchange, but then he also has his Yahoo email, so he can create two Outlook profiles. These Outlook profiles are something really amazing, which helps you troubleshooting Outlook issues, because when you have an Outlook issue, email not working, not connecting, I suggest that this should be the first place you should come. You should look at how many profiles are there, and then make sure that which profile is set as default. When I say this, if I go ahead and set one of the profile as default, then it will not ask me. It will always open as this. And then when you have to open with the other profile, either you can come here. Okay, so it just configured my account here, and will see all my calendar information and stuff which is there will come up. Everything will get synchronized. As you can see, all my contacts and everything will show up here. It will take time. It is downloading, see, updating inbox, updating this folder. It's going to take a lot of time. It's a big mailbox. We don't want to do that, but ultimately everything will show up here, and that's the benefit of MAPI and ActiveSync. Okay, so yeah, I was talking about that you can always set a default profile here, and if you have to open the other profile, you can either change the default here, or you can set it to prompt for the profile to be used. So those are the things which are available to you. When you're troubleshooting, you should always figure out how many profiles are there, which profile is working, which is not working. Then you can come here and look at email accounts, and you can select one of them. If it is like this, you can use this repair button to repair and provide the password again, and whatever settings which you have to do, or you might want to just delete the account from here and re-add it if you want to troubleshoot. So these are various kind of settings which are available when you want to configure the email or troubleshoot the email. I want to explain you one more thing. So what happened here is that I tried to configure my Office 365 account, and did you see how it automatically figured out where my emails are? Although there was a label of Office 365, but even if the Office 365 label was not there, or actually the label of Office 365 when creating the account didn't make any difference. I'll once again go here, and I will once again go here and show you the profile, and I'll create a brand new profile here. Profile 365. Okay, you can name them anything, and you say manual or additional server setup and Office 365. Okay, let's say that I don't say it is O365, I say Exchange Active Sync. Then also it's asking me for the server name. Okay, so you say Office 365 or Exchange account, and then you can go ahead and provide your email address. Now, what exactly happens when I do this? So when I give it this thing, and then you see that it is spinning, establishing, searching. Okay, you see it is searching for Pledge Technology. So what exactly is it searching? Let me show you. There is a record which we create, which is called as auto discover record. In our email domain, which is pledgetechnologies.com, what I have done is I have created a record, and I'm going to my local DNS server to do an NSLOOKUP, but it will forward to the public DNS server to get the answers for me. That is the DNS forwarders. All right. So what I have done is I have this auto discover record created in my email domain, pledgetechnologies.com. Where does it point to? It basically points to autodiscover.pledgetechnologies points to autodiscover.outlook.com, or it points to an IP address. So what exactly is happening here? I will open my favorite MS Paint application. Okay, and let's say this is your office, this is your email server, this is your router, this is the public IP, and these are the local IP with which this machine is connected. Now this user is at his home, and he wants to configure his Outlook with this account, because technically that's what is happening. I am at home, or I am somewhere in this world, and I'm trying to establish my Exchange connections with Office 365. Office 365 is God knows where in the cloud, but I'm able to reach it. How exactly am I able to find the public IP? Because ultimately to reach, if this is the Office 365 server, ultimately to reach here, I at least need to know what is the public IP. And I did not yet provide it the public IP ever. Like during my configuration, if you would have noticed, it just asked me for an email address. And as soon as I gave it the email address, it started to search for it. Now it is kind of screwed up when you cancel it once. Now you have to actually cancel the whole thing and do it from the beginning. So if you notice here, what I'm doing is I just provided, and it started to search for it. What did it search for? It just knew my email address. So how, from this email address, how can it find out the IP address of my, the public IP address of my Exchange server, which is sitting behind inside some office? So what happens is, as soon as the Outlook starts to configure itself, it knows one thing. It looks for something which is called as a auto discover record. And what we have done is that, this is pledgetechnologies.com. We went into the cloud DNS, the public DNS which we have with GoDaddy, and we created a record. We created a record or CNAME record, whatever record you want to believe it, which is our auto discover record. Okay, so we created an auto discover record. Look here, autodiscover.pledgetechnologies.com we created here. Now what does the Outlook client knows? Outlook client knows that whatever email address you give me, I will take the domain name here and I will add a auto discover in front of it. So if it is fleshtechnologies.com, I will make it autodiscover.fleshtechnologies. If it is amazon.com, I will make it autodiscover.amazon.com, and I will go out there in the world and look for a DNS record. So that's what the Outlook client did or is doing here. And it will go here and it will figure out, is there a IP address registered with this DNS record autodiscover and dot Flash Technologies? And the public DNS server will respond, yes, there is. And what that IP address would be? That would be this record. So this way, when the client comes back, it knows I have to go here. And as soon as it reaches here, this public IP is waiting for it. It has a port forwarding rules configured here. This will enter from here, this will go from here, and this will reach the Exchange server, and voila, your email got configured. So that's what an auto discover record is. An auto discover record is very, very, very important when you have to configure the emails. However, when you are inside the office, the auto discover record is not used that much, because there is something which is called as service connection points or SCP records which exist in Active Directory, and SCP records are good enough to point you to the or the Exchange server, and the auto discover records are not required. So within the LAN, if you are here, if the PC is here, it does not need the auto discover record to find the Exchange server. In this case, because it is part of the local Active Directory, it can speak with the domain controller. Let's say this is the domain controller. It will ask the domain controller, and domain controller has something which is called as SCP, Service Connection Point Records. So service means Exchange service, service connection point. So as the name suggests, what is the connection point for this service? And the AD will say, this is the connection point. So the auto discover lookup doesn't need to happen. But when you are outside in the world, or even when you are connecting RPC over HTTP or Outlook Anywhere, which we discussed, this auto discover record is used. Because whenever you launch the Outlook goes to auto discover record and find out what is the public IP to which I have to go. And this auto discover record provides it the IP and it gets connected here. So this is all very calculated and carefully planned things. Okay. So I hope you understand now the auto discover record. So let's go back to our training. So I showed you how to do the manual configuration of the Outlook, and I also showed you how to do the automatic configuration of the Outlook. I will also show you my client here. So this is my Apple Mail client, and I showed you Outlook. So this Apple Mail, if I have to add an account here, what I will do is I will go ahead and select what kind of account there is. It's a Yahoo account, it's a AOL account, or whatever account is, and or I can say, and I'll just go ahead and provide it the email address. Now, most of the accounts and connections have got a bit of smart in them. So whenever you provide, the first thing that they try to ask you is the username and password, so that they can use their own smart and they can try to figure out the connection to your mail server. When they are not able to do that, then in the next screen they directly ask you, provide me the URL of the IMAP server or provide me the URL of the outgoing email server. I told you that incoming comes via IMAP and outgoing goes to the Exchange server via SMTP. So it is asking you to provide the detail. Or if you are using POP, then change it to this and provide the URLs here. So it's as simple as that. You have to provide those things. If I would have chosen Exchange here, sorry, this is my existing account. So sorry. If I would have chosen Exchange here, then the situations would have been different. So I would have said Shishir at Flash Technologies, and most likely even this client will be able to find the details. Signing to Exchange account using Microsoft, configure manually or sign in. I'll say sign in. Okay, so it reached Office 365. I will go ahead and provide it the details and my account will get configured here. So that's what I'm trying to explain you, that most of the mail clients have got some kind of a auto configuration. But technically, if you are configuring them with IMAP or POP protocol, then you should go to the the service provider website or Google the service provider documentation to find out what are the port numbers which they are using, whether they are using secure port or whether they are using unsecure ports for POP and IMAP, and what is the URLs which they have published for POP and IMAP. And this way you figure out how to configure your Outlook. Alright, so let's look at some other mailbox components. Address book and public folder. Exchange uses address book to organize and store email address information for recipients in the organization. The topic that will help you learn about and configure email addresses in address book Exchange server are described in the following table. Okay, so basically a screenshot from Microsoft website. What are address books? So Exchange, I will go to my Exchange server, have got something which is called as address books. So I will log into my Exchange admin center. I have got two options. Either I can just go ahead and type the URL, because Exchange Administrative Center is or Exchange Control Panel is just a web-based panel now. So I can do this, and okay, so these are various address books which gets created by default, and they are auto updated as well. So whatever rooms are there in your organization, they will get added to this. Whatever public folders are there, they will get added here. Whatever contacts you have created, remember I showed you that you can go here and create contacts for the external people who are part of your organization and you want their name to be resolved. So when you created this contact, how exactly did it get resolved on the client PC? Because of address list. That contact got added here, and basically this is a dynamic query, and which is saying that all the contacts should get added to this list. And if you preview the recipient, there is only one guy that is the one contact which we created. Okay, so these address lists are created because whatever is there on the Exchange server, they need to be available on the Outlook clients as well. So these address lists, they get synchronized on the Outlook client. So if I go ahead and launch Outlook here, this is the Outlook, and if I go here, and there should be an address books here as well, but an easy way is to, and here you can see these are all the address lists which I showed you there. They get synchronized here, and that is the reason, like there is no user account for Shisher in this organization, and never before from this Outlook you have sent an email to Shisher. But if you go ahead and do write Shisher here, you just know the name, you don't know the email address of this person, and you click on check name, it figured it out. Shisher at Plex Technologies. Why? Because there are address books, and these address books are basically your directories, which these users can use to find out the email addresses of the people to whom they have to send the email. And this is not only for external users, internal users. Let's say he has to send an email to Rita. He doesn't know her email address. So where would it get from? From the address book. Once again, okay, there is the button for address book. So if he goes here, these are some of the accounts which is showing from here, and then these are the address books which are available, and he does Rita and he does check name, and voila, he found Rita in his organization, Rita root domain. And it is also showing that her calendar is free, so he can book a meeting with her. There's a lot of other information which shows up here, organization configuration, like who is the manager of Rita and all those things. And this is all dependent on you filling up the active directory fields of the user property correctly with his manager information, with his other information, his work information, his timings, etc. So all those things shows up here. Okay, so that is what is the address book. Now let's talk about the public folders. The second thing is public folder. Public folder is one of the many features within Microsoft Exchange, and its purpose is to give Outlook users access to common folders for sharing information. You can also make public folder available to everyone in an organization as well. Okay. Uh, Once again, public folder was a problematic feature, I can say, and not something which I have seen a lot of organizations use very successfully. So public folder used to be like a common repository for data. If the accounts guys want to create a public folder, they will go ahead and create a public folder. And if, let me remind you that these are the public folders, and you can create public folder databases, and you can create public folders here, and these public folders can be made available to the users. We'll create public folder mailbox, and I think we can go ahead and create public folder database first of all. So you'll go ahead and create a database. It doesn't say that it has to be a public folder. So a public folder now is just a mailbox, so it can even go in this standard database. In the earlier version of Windows, the public folder had to be a separate database created. So accounts public folder. Okay, and I say save, so it's going to automatically pick up the information. And now public folders, account public folder 1, and it got created. Okay, now this is what public folders are. Now the purpose of public folder, they were used before to keep the email data of a lot of organizations. So if there is some emails which everybody needs to look at, or they needs to be stored for long, so instead of storing it a copy in everybody's mailbox, they used to create a public folder. But nowadays the easier option to do those things are shared mailboxes. So you can create shared mailboxes for people, and public folder is a outgoing concept. Now most of the organization are not using public folders. In Office 365, public folders are not even available. So it is a outdated concept, but if I go here, folders, this is where public folders should show up if you have access to them. All right, so I would encourage that you read more about public folder if you want to, how to configure them in your server and configure access them from your server. But quite honestly speaking, most of the organizations are not using public folders anymore. So you just understand the theoretical meaning of them and why you use them, and probably some oldie guy can ask you the meaning of a public folder during the interview, but I can assure you that you'll not be doing a lot of work around public folder anytime soon. Okay. All right, so that's it. Let's move to the additional email features. Calendar and contacts, we actually kind of already discussed them with you. So once again, I will bring in that our mailbox is not just email anymore. Unlike Gmail, like only the emails are getting downloaded here, and your calendar and your contacts only remain in the cloud. An Exchange mailbox can synchronize the calendar, the contacts, and the task, everything with all the clients which are configured on the same mailbox. So whatever you do here, that will be available on other clients. So there is a full synchronization. And the contacts, I showed you how to create a contact and how it got synchronized to the other places. As far as calendar is concerned, I am very sorry, guys. I don't know. There is probably some technical issue why it's not getting synchronized. But ideally, whatever calendar entries which you are going to make, they will be visible here. They will be visible here, and everything will be exactly same. So that's what calendar and contacts are all about. So you should know about them. Let's go back to the training. Next, troubleshooting email clients. So that is one of the things which a lot of you might have to do. In fact, in our career, we will have to do that one time or another. And this is one of the most common issue which you'll be seeing, which the users might get to you. Although, once again, emails have become very robust and the problems do not happen that often, but you should know how to troubleshoot it. Number one, how would you do it? Probing. Probing is the most important thing. You have to ask what is the issue. Once again, can you show me the issue? Like, can you reproduce it for me? Then you can ask, are you the only one who is having the issue? Like, if the user is saying, I'm unable to send the email. So the question could be, are you the only one, or is nobody able to? Now, the user, of course, can say that I don't know about others, but I am not able to. Or he may say, yeah, rest of the users were also having the same problem. Now, if you get some information like that, that means there is not a problem on user's PC, and it's more of an Exchange server. One more thing which you can ask is there a problem sending email to a specific email address? Because what can happen is that some stupid Exchange administrator might have created a connector with a scope of a specific domain, say gmail.com, and would be sending it to 1.1.1.1 smart host, which is non-existent. So basically what's happening is that all the email for Gmail are getting blocked, but the rest of the domains are working fine. So these kind of questions you can ask. Other thing which you can do is that if the user is saying that Outlook is not working fine, then always ask them to log into Outlook Web Access. And with Outlook Web Access, what's going to happen is that you can figure out if the user is able to log in here, if he's able to send the email from here or not, because this is kind of directly on server. If there is an issue on the client, and if there is not an issue on the server, that means the issue is with client. But if you log in here and you have the same issue here, then yeah, just fix it on the server end first, because Outlook Web Access is directly on server, and then only think about the client. So that you can do. And also this helps you validate the password of the user. Let's say it's possible that the user hasn't been in office for a very long amount of time and his password has been expired, and he basically is not able to, like, the Outlook is not telling him that the password is not there, because the PC is also has a broken secure channel with the domain, and there is something screwed up. So just remove the whole PC component and just log into Outlook Web Access, because directly fresh from the server. And if the password doesn't work there, that means there is a problem, and it will give you an option to reset the password as well. So accessing over is a very good option. The next thing which you can do is create Outlook profile. So maybe you can just go ahead here in control panel, and you go here and say, okay, it's not working. And when the emails are not getting connected, what you will see is, if you come here, you see here, connected to Microsoft Exchange, it will say disconnected or unable to connect to Microsoft Exchange. And it says all folders up to date. It will either say it is downloading some folder or not downloading some folder, or doing something or not. You see here, it's actually downloading my emails from Gmail here, which I should stop doing. This is unnecessarily doing this. So how will I do it? I will just go here, and I will go to show profiles, and I will go to this here, and I'll go to email accounts, and I will select this, and I will remove this. So if there is an issue, you can create a new Outlook profile. You can delete all the Outlook profiles from here, but you have to make sure that there is not local files on this Exchange server before you remove these profiles, etc. Because sometimes what happens is that user has configured Outlook with POP, and all the emails are downloaded on his PC, and all the emails are deleted from server. In that case, if you go ahead and delete and recreate the profile will get created, but there will be no emails in the inbox because the server did not have anything on it. We have to make sure that the earlier configurations, and in fact, it's a good idea before deleting any of the accounts, it's a good idea that you go here and then you have a look here in the configurations, what kind of settings are there. Because there might be a URL for the IMAP or POP, and you didn't know that URL, or you might not be able to find that URL later. So it is best that you take a screenshot of this thing and you get your URL sorted before you go ahead and remove all the Outlook profiles and try to recreate it. Okay. So this here shows the status of the Outlook. One more thing which you can do is you can go here and hold down the control key on your keyboard. Like I will first do it without holding down control key. These are the options which you get, okay? Network warning, show Microsoft Exchange messages or whatever. And if you hold down the control key, then you get a new option which is test email auto configuration and connection status. So connection status shows you which machine, which mailbox server it is connected to, and what is the status it is established, what is the protocol it is using. It is using RPC over HTTP to connect, and what is the authentication it is using, and the port numbers which it is using, etc., etc. A lot of information it will show you. See, imap.gmail.com, that was connected over IMAP. Rest of them MAPI. So this is a good connection window which can help you troubleshoot the situation. There is another thing here which is test auto email configuration. So you can go ahead and put, let's say that you're trying to configure an email and it's not working out. So you go ahead and put that email here. You say test as testing. It'll show you a lot of logs here. I'll not give you insight into how to read these logs, etc. But basically, it's a good troubleshooting technique, and you can go ahead and figure out the error messages from here, and then you can Google them, and it will point you to the right direction. This is the auto discover method, which I told you that it looks for auto discover. So I'll just uncheck both these other methods, and then I will do just this one, and see. It's giving you the whole auto discover. And remember I told you IIS, so let me show you here. Exchange creates a lot of directories here. There is also a directory for auto discover. This is the real directory which is responsible for all the automatic connections which are happening from outside over the internet. Okay, so that's what the configuration is, and that's how you kind of troubleshoot Outlook. One more thing which I would like to tell you now is that I told you that when you are within the office, in this situation, when you are within the office and your Exchange server is here, the connection happens over MAPI. Okay, and when you are outside at your home and you want to connect your Exchange server, it happens over RPC over HTTP, right? In the latest version of Exchange, that is Exchange 2013 onwards, they have removed MAPI. And even this connection is also happening over RPC over HTTP. It is possible because it's just that this is coming through the public IP and they can do a local RPC over HTTP connection. So it gives them a better flexibility. It has given them certain benefits and they have dropped MAPI altogether. So as a result, I will go ahead and show you here the connection status, and I saw it somewhere. That's what, see, protocol which it is using is RPC over HTTP. In earlier version of Outlook and Exchange, you would have seen it says MAPI here. All right, then you can create a new Outlook profile. I showed you. The next thing which we can do is start the Outlook in safe mode. So during Windows Microsoft Office troubleshooting, I also spoke to you about how to start various Microsoft Office applications in their safe mode, not the Windows safe mode. to see if the issue is with the application or is with some of the add-ins which are within the application. So you can do the same thing with Outlook here as well. What you need to do is you need to look for Outlook, and then you need to hold down the control key. And when you do that, it basically asks you, do you want to start it in safe mode? And you say okay. I keep getting this error about a certificate on my Exchange server because this is like a test installation. I'm using a non-public certificate, and that is why we get this warning message. If you had a good certificate downloaded from GoDaddy or any public certificate provider, then you would not have this warning. Okay. Now, what you can do is that you can see if the issue persists here. If the issue doesn't persist here, you can go here and you can go to options, and then you go to add-ins, and then you go here, com add-ins, and then you can kind of disable the add-ins which you don't want or which you think might be causing the issue. So that's what is starting the Outlook in the safe mode. As you can also see, it says here on the top, Microsoft Outlook safe mode. What else? Outlook add-ins, I showed you. Okay, so now I'll try to show you how to open the additional mailboxes. So what we have here is that we gave on our accounts mailbox, we have given the shared mailbox here. What we have done is we have given permission to Sam under full access and as send as, which means that Sam will get to see all the contents of this folder, as well as Sam can send emails as this mailbox. So because of that, this accounts folder started to show up automatically in Sam's Outlook. I didn't have to do anything. However, if there is another mailbox on which you have permission and you want to open that mailbox, then what you can do is you can go here, go to more settings and advanced, and you can add that mailbox here. Now remember, I don't have permissions on Rita's mailbox, so I'll not do that because then the machine can get hung. But this is one more way with which you can open additional mailboxes. Now I will quickly go ahead and show you how to send an email as another account. So what I did was, let's say Sam has permission to send email as accounts. So what Sam will do, he will go here, and if this from window is not showing up in your Outlook by default, you have to go in options and you have to make sure that you select from here. So you go other email and you put accounts here, and you go like this, and then for the sake of the test, I'm sending an email to myself, that is Sam, and then I say test from accounts. Now this email is sent. It is sent from Sam's mailbox. You can see here, test from account. This was sent by Sam, and it is sent to Sam as well. So it will come back here eventually. And but what's going to happen is that the email is going to come from the email address accounts@root domain. So looking at the email, look here. It came from accounts. So Sam has permission to send email as accounts. So if for some reason there is a requirement that one email address to be used to send an email, and that is account. So and there are 10 people in accounts, so we can give all 10 of them send as permission on the accounts mailbox and give them full access, and then they can keep sending email as accounts. So the world will not get to know that these are individual people, rather the world will see only one email addresses. So there could be a business requirement for this. And that's how you open additional mailboxes. How do you open shared calendar? So there are situations where you want to look at other people's calendar, or other people may want to look at your calendar. So what we do and how we do that is we go to properties of our calendar and we go ahead and give permission. So let's say Sam may want to give Rita permission on his mailbox to create item, write folder, edit, or whatever. And basically he wants to give all kind of permissions to her. Okay. So he could have, but by default, once again, let me show you what is the default permission. Default is free busy. So within an Exchange environment, because we expect these are all office people who are working with each other, so they should be able to at least see the time when other people are free or they are busy. We don't want people to see each other's appointment because there could be private appointments there. So you don't want that to happen, but you at least want the people to be able to see whether the other person is free or busy at a particular time. So default permission is free busy, and within an Exchange organization, you can look at anybody's calendar to find out if they are free or busy. Now, if you have further permissions on somebody's calendar and you want to open their calendar, what you can do is that you can go here and you can go say Rita, and you can open Rita's calendar. So what happened here? Rita's calendar under shared calendar came up, and you can look at Rita's schedule, and you can look at a month-wise schedule. So Rita's whole month schedule. Now, if Rita had, like here, you can actually read what kind of meetings and works which I have. But on Rita's calendar, we just have a default permission, which is free busy. So we'll see the time here marked as free or busy. Now we don't see any time because she's free all the time. If she had any appointment, then that would show up here. Let's say I will go ahead and set up a meeting with Rita on when? On 30th, and meeting with Rita. So Sam is setting this up, and required Sam is there already. So you said Rita is there, and location meeting room. So look for the room, MR1. So the meeting room is not available. I don't know why. Okay, so the meeting room is not showing up for some reason, but anyways. So we invited Rita for a meeting on Thursday, 6th of August from 8 a.m. to 8:30, and we sent that meeting. And let's go to August. So there is this meeting with Rita, and there is this meeting same time showing up in Rita. But here you don't see the details of Rita's meeting because this is private information. If Rita share the information with you, then you will be able to share it. This is just free and busy information. This shows that if somebody goes up and try to set up a meeting with Rita at that time, then the calendar will respond, no, I'm already busy at that time. And it is showing tentative because an email invite for the meeting has gone into Rita's mailbox. Until she accepts it, it will show tentative. So that's how you open other people's shared calendar. All right, so that's what is troubleshooting email client all about. And just shared calendar reminds me something. If somebody says that I have somebody's calendar open, like a secretary says I have CEO's calendar open and I'm not able to view the information there, then the first thing which you have to do is log into CEO's mailbox and go to the properties of his calendar and go to permissions and look here what kind of permissions does the secretary have. If she has just the default permission, or then what you can do is that you can go ahead and add secretary if she's not already there, or if she's there, then you can go ahead and change the level of, see, just free busy or full details, what you want to provide, and whatever permissions you want to give, you can give to her. So that's how calendar permission works. All right, so that's it for this module. Here is what we covered in this module. What are email clients? We discussed and showed you various email clients. We showed you the client access protocol, the IMAP, the POPs, etc. And then I showed you how to set up an email clients. The additional features of mailbox and email clients, I showed them to you, and then I showed you how to troubleshoot email client. So that is it for this module. And as far as your lab items are concerned, configure Outlook client with multiple addresses like Gmail and Outlook, and maybe one from your Exchange server. Get familiar how to configure IMAP and POP settings. Maybe you can configure your Gmail with your POP connection as well. Just Google the URLs for IMAP and POP. See how to enable IMAP and POP in cloud-based services. Remember, I went into the settings of my Gmail and I showed you the IMAP was enabled, POP was enabled. So look at various service provider how to do that. Get familiar with the email and calendar bookings, appointments, calendar invite. I tried to do a few things there, but there is a lot of things which you can do in calendar. Just get familiar with the option. Get familiar with mailbox contacts. I showed you how the contacts are getting created in your Outlook. And how they get synchronized. So you can have a look at that. And then also observe how you make a change on one Outlook client and it also get updated on the mailbox, like on the Outlook Web Access. And then the other clients, if you have another client configured for the same mail account, it will also get synchronized there. So that's the cool thing about Microsoft Exchange and Outlook synchronization. So that's it guys for this module, and I will see you in the next module soon.